Hi everyone, it's Amanda here from Willow and Pip. Today is a vlog style video. I am a little bit all over the map in regards to getting ready for some fall markets I have coming up. I wanted you to see behind the scenes of me creating, packing, and organizing myself in preparation for one of these markets. I will caveat that every market prep and setup is a little bit different. The market that I'm attempting to go to actually next Saturday is an outdoor market. Outdoor markets are really tricky for me because of the nature of making soap and bath products specifically. The candles are a little more weather resistant, um, but the other half of the house there being bath and body products can be a bit tricky. So I tend to steer away from outdoor markets as much as possible. However, I wanted to try this one because it's in the community, a small community next to our little town here. It's a first attempt for me at this market, but given the scale and the scope of the other vendors that are at the market, and sort of the general vibe of how they've done their marketing, it really appealed to me. So I will be setting up at this market with a tent. And I believe I'm going to do a table setup with a couple of stacked tiers, but that's a little bit yet to be determined. Outdoor markets always do come with a caveat that if it is rainy, I do always have to cancel. Again, because my products can't get wet in any capacity. So sometimes it's a little hard for me to get in the game mentally for outdoor markets, which is another reason why I tend to not do a ton of them. Nonetheless, what you're going to see in today's video is how I go about more or less prepping for any type of market I do. What that looks like is me taking a count of the inventory that I have on hand and then supplementing, either restocking with what I have already pre-made, or in a lot of instances, pouring candles and making some items, or putting together the packaging, kind of the finishing touches on some of the products that I want to bring. So again, today's video is going to be, flipping around between me, candles, prepping, packing, taking a full look of how I do this. So I hope this adds value to you if you're planning on doing any type of market vending, etc., and you want to see what that looks like in terms of before you get there. Enjoy. I've pulled all of my soap boxes from my storage shelves. This is how I like to prepare and package my soap for market. So every soap I'm going to bring has its own white box. I do a really good job of labeling each box because I like to be able to replenish my soap stock during a market really quickly and easily. And so I will often have these boxes put under my table or behind my booth, facing lengthways out. And the way I have the labels on the ends just make sure that I can pull them really quick when I do need to do any restocking. So of course, all of the soap cures for at least 4 weeks before it's ready. So the soap that you see me packaging here is pulling off my curing shelves and putting soap bands on them. So the soap that's already in the white boxes was from my last market, back about 3 weeks ago now. And I just leave it in the box as is. I'll redo a couple of bands here and there if they look like they've gone through any shrinkage, etc., and just need a little bit of a crisping up. But for the most part, I try to just reuse them as is because they're perfectly brand new, nothing wrong with them. So I'll pull the soaps off the shelves that are fully cured, bring them to this table, and then add new soap bands to them, which you can see me applying here, and just fully stock up each of these white boxes. I know in general, each box typically is enough for me for a market. I may pack 2 boxes of the same type of soap for a couple of the soaps. For example, the ones that sell particularly well. But for the most part, this is just one type of soap per white box, just filled lengthways all the way through. The soap labels that you see me applying here are just created by myself using the program called Canva. I also just print them from home, from my home printer. I really like having, I really like printing my labels and having the ability to have direct control like that because I go through so many soap labels. I really don't want to get into having to order and wait for them to arrive. Because as anyone who owns their own soap or candle making business knows, you do enough of that, waiting for vessels, waiting for fragrance oils, waiting for soap supplies. And so it's simple and easy this way. What I do is I print the labels off. I have them designed so that I can print 4 per sheet, and then I cut them with a paper cutter and I stack them and just secure them with a little paper clip that you can see at the top of each of the bundles. And then when I'm going through this exact activity, I have them all prepared and ready to go. So it's just getting into that mentality of doing things in bulk, batching it, preparing in advance so that you don't have to do everything from scratch every single time. So if I run out of one of these labels and when I go back to my office to print, I'll print a bulk of them. I'll probably do about 35 to 40 at one time. That's more than enough for a couple of replenishes for me, and it just keeps things running efficiently. I'm going to be bringing my bath bombs to this market, and I'm just pulling these bath bombs off of my curing trays from the back. These are already done, already ready to go, and I already had most of these pre-labeled. So I'm just stacking them one on top of the other and putting them in my pile for market. These also are these are my lip butters, my lip balms. I had these pre-made. I didn't have to make any more for this market. I just keep them in a simple Ziploc bag. So I have 3 different kinds here. I'm just showing, and I'll put those in a box ready to go. I was also able to pull some of my kid bath bombs that I had previously made. I didn't have to make any more. I had some, like, plenty enough left over from the last market I did. So again, pulling off my storage racks and putting in the pile. And the same story goes for my shower steamers. I didn't have to make any extra shower steamers. I had these all ready to go and just pulling and packing. Now, when it comes to my candles, I really like reusing the boxes where I order my candle vessels from. And these boxes are perfect quantity wise as well. So I am opening the boxes, the same concept as what I did with the soap here. So I'm seeing what I have on hand for each of the different types of candles I stock and just writing on a pad of paper how many of each kind of candle I need to make. So these boxes hold 12 and each box represents a different type of fragrance. From there, I was able to then determine how many of each type of candle I need to make. And so um, my candles require 2 weeks of cure time. So I always make sure I give myself ample time to do this if I know that I have to make more candles for market. But nonetheless, here I am just repouring. So I've gone through a count, candle by candle, fragrance by fragrance, to make sure I have the exact quantity. And again, I'll fill those up. They will fill up to 12 candles. And same concept with the soap too. There's a couple of candles that are more popular. So I may bring, a half box of a couple of different extras for the more popular fragrances that sell more than the others. But for the most part, I do bring 12 of each kind. I find doing markets is a really good for me. It's a good exercise. It helps me make sure that the products that I am offering are consistent. It forces me into a set product line, which is really hard to do if you are a soap or candle maker because it can be very exciting to try to create new products all of the time. But in order to have a really nice streamlined display at a market, you need to have a consistent product offering in that you're going to have 6 of one kind or more of one kind of either soap, candle, or bath bomb, whatever it is you're putting on display. That forces me to not only make enough of each kind, but just to focus me in on not going too overboard on 20,000 different product offerings. You really only need a few in larger quantities. Thanks for tuning in today for the video. I hope it was useful for you in whether you're, just looking for some inspiration in your small business, or if you have a similar market that you're preparing for. If you are so inclined, I would greatly appreciate if you could subscribe and like. For a small business owner and a small channel, it really goes a long way. Thanks, everyone.